We regret to announce the passing of Mrs. Marguerite Eldie Francis of number 8 Duke Street, Miku, better known as Ma Wardrick or Ma Didi, on Monday, March 4th, 2013 at 6:30 p.m. She was 87 years old and a member of the Sacred Heart, Mount Carmel, and Legion of Mary confraternities.
She is predeceased by her husband, Mr. Peter Paul Francis, better known as Mr. Wardrick, her daughter, Veronica Francis Rigobert, better known as Teacher Renica of Miku. She leaves to mourn 8 children: Joanna White of Escap, Miku; Lawrence Francis of the UK; Shirley Marilyn Francis Mafre of Mulashik, Vieux-Fort; Eustacia George of the USA; Marshall Francis of Cap Estate; Rosanna Francis and Paul Francis of the USA; Dr. Claudius Dave Francis of Miku; several grandchildren including Myrtle Prince, Wendy White, Laurel Isaacs, Nigel White, Darren White, Diana Daphne, Samantha Hunt, Veronica Francis, Lawrence Francis Jr., Maxine Francis, Laurel Francis, Neil Francis, Walt Rigobert and Jermaine Rigobert Simansik, all of the UK; Dr. Gail Rigobert of Miku; Barry George of Castries; Marsha Mafre Thomas, Neil Mafre and Shama Mafre, all of Monrepo; Michael Francis, Ronald Kerwin Francis, Ursuline Hermia Francis Bruno, Sherlyn Francis, Omar Francis and Wade Francis, all of the USA; several great-grandchildren including Keziah, Tyler, Amalia and Lucas of the USA; Blake, Renique, Regan, Ryan, Luke, Hannah, Joshua, Rebecca, Gabriel, Jacob, Ethan and Aidan, all of the UK; Brioni and Elamani of Monrepo; Cassidy, Gianni and Nukisha George; one brother, Kenton and his family of the UK; 2 daughters-in-law, Mrs. Mauricia Thomas Francis of Cap Estate; Mrs. Cecil Francis of the USA; 3 sons-in-law, Stanley White of Escap, Miku; Gregory Mafre of Mulashik, Vieux-Fort; Moses George of Castries; sister-in-law, Mrs. Neptune of Hospital Road. She also leaves to mourn several other relatives and friends including Helen Churchill's aunt's family, Helen Augustine aunt's family, Othilia Oti Rosary aunt's family, Pierre George aunt's family, all of Miku; the Frederick, Montoute, Auguste, Duncan, Setage, Daniel, Aristide families of Deriso; Joan Setage Francis, Veronica Vero Mafre, Mrs. Veronique Titi Mafre of Miku; Mrs. Eurylis Victor Anel, Miss Cassian Toussaint, Fatiana Shalry and's family of Miku; Melisha Hippolyte of Margaret Hoot; Mr. and Mrs. Cuthbert Ramin of Miku; the Neptune family of Duga, Miku; her caretakers including Liana Oscar, Miss Mary Nelva Emile, Miss Esther Butcher, Miss Luca and others. A special thank you to the medical staff of St. Jude's Hospital and the Miku Health Center for their patient and efficient care during Madidi's period of illness. The funeral service of Mrs. Marguerite Eldie Francis, better known as Madidi or Mawadrick, will take place on Saturday, 16th March at the Miku Roman Catholic Church at 2:30 p.m. The body will be laid to rest at the Miku Cemetery.